Welcome to the Explainer. Let's just dive right into this, shall we? Today, we're unpacking a really powerful piece of source material titled, "The Day You Stop Quitting, Everything Changes." Now listen, this isn't just your standard rah-rah motivational talk. It's actually a fascinating, highly structured look into the pure psychology of persistence. We're going to break down the exact step-by-step shift from crippling self-doubt to absolutely relentless momentum. So if you've ever felt like just throwing in the towel, this explainer is going to map out exactly why you shouldn't, using some incredible direct insights from our source text. Let's get started.
Why can't I be like them? Man, that is a question that hits hard, doesn't it? We've all been there. You look at highly successful people, their achievements, that unshakable confidence they seem to have, their whole lifestyle, and this heavy, nagging feeling of inadequacy just sort of creeps in. We fall right into the trap of thinking they were simply born different, like they were equipped with some sort of secret mental armor that we somehow missed out on. But as we'll see, that assumption is entirely wrong.
Which brings us to our first core concept, the illusion of success, and breaking the myth of born talent.
Seriously, think about it. Where did the people you admire most actually start out? Well, they were confused, they were scared, doubtful, and get this, they were totally ready to give up. The difference between you and the people you look up to isn't talent. It definitely isn't luck. What's so fascinating here is the stark reality that every single great success story started in the exact same place of fear and confusion that you might literally be feeling right now. The only real difference? They just kept going when everyone else decided to stop.
All right, let's step into the next phase here, the hidden battles, and what happens before the victory.
Okay, so here's the actual unglamorous chronology of success. Step 1, the battle. Step 2, the sacrifice. And step 3, the hard days. Notice anything missing? Yeah, overnight success mysteriously isn't anywhere on this staircase. And that's because before the reward comes the sacrifice. Before the massive breakthrough, you have those hard, lonely days that absolutely nobody sees. The victory that the whole world so loudly celebrates is always the absolute last step in a really grueling, invisible sequence. Society absolutely loves to highlight that sparkling, perfect end result, completely ignoring the painful building blocks it took to get there. We're talking about countless nights of hard work, repeated failures, actual tears, and profound disappointment. And those very real moments where quitting just seems so much easier. Look, success is not built in comfort, it's forged in difficulty. Every setback is actually a forced evolution. It's teaching a necessary lesson and making you tougher, sharper, and far more resilient than you were yesterday.
So how do we actually survive those relentlessly hard days? That brings us to a critical psychological toolkit, motivation versus discipline, the true engine of progress.
Let's really contrast these two because it's a game changer. We've got motivation on one side and discipline on the other. Human nature practically guarantees there will be days when motivation just evaporates. It's a fleeting feeling, like the wind, coming and going entirely on its own schedule. But discipline is the heavy anchor. It stays. It is the reliable mechanical engine that literally gets you out of bed when you have absolutely zero desire to work. It's what keeps you focused and permanently separates the dreamers from the achievers when that initial emotional high inevitably wears off. To really lock in that discipline, we kind of have to choose between two very different types of pain. The pain of discipline is temporary. Yeah, it's incredibly uncomfortable right now to push through the fatigue and the doubt, but the pain of regret, man, that lasts forever. Imagine yourself 5 years from now looking back at this exact moment. By framing it this way, we force ourselves to weigh the temporary discomfort of working hard today against the permanent, lingering agony of simply giving up.
Moving from philosophy to the action plan, let's talk about the power of now and why we absolutely have to stop waiting for the perfect moment.
Start where you are. It's such a punchy, simple little phrase, right? But it's profoundly difficult in practice because we are just so heavily wired for perfectionism. Listen to me, you do not need to be perfect. You don't need to have every single step mapped out before you begin. The brutal truth of the matter is that the perfect moment simply does not exist. You just need to take one single step right from the exact spot you are standing in today.
Use what you have. Look, right now, there are people out there with less money, less opportunity, and a fraction of your support system who are still fiercely fighting for their dreams. Waiting for the perfect time, waiting for better resources, or waiting until you magically feel ready is just a really sophisticated form of procrastination. It's a trap, and it delays your goals indefinitely.
Do what you can, and hey, then do it all over again tomorrow. Your future is created by what you do consistently, not occasionally. Think of it like compound interest for your life. It's the thousands of tiny repetitive efforts efforts that most people are completely unwilling to make, repeated every single day, that ultimately compound into something truly extraordinary. Let's look at this beautiful metaphor from the text to really visualize this, because understanding how growth actually works requires a massive shift in perspective. At time 1, think of a seed underground. Progress is entirely invisible to the outside world. By time 2, roots are growing deep, which requires incredible patience and learning in the dark. And then finally, time 3, breaking the surface, the big breakthrough. So when you feel like you aren't getting anywhere, just remember that massive growth is happening underground long before it ever breaks the surface for the world to see. Which brings us to our final section today, the ultimate payoff and the other side of persistence. Why is surviving this whole timeline entirely worth it?
I love this quote from the text. The person you want to become is waiting on the other side of persistence. Just let that sit with you for a second. Success fundamentally belongs to those who simply refuse to surrender. One day, all those struggles and all those exhausting moments where you almost quit, they will be recognized as the exact moments that made you who you needed to be.
Because of that exact truth, the takeaway here is incredibly clear. Your story is not over. Keep learning, keep improving, keep pushing forward. Your breakthrough is coming. Even if progress feels agonizingly slow right now, if you just keep moving forward, you will get there. All those sacrifices will finally make complete sense.
And that brings us to the ultimate question we all have to answer today. Will you be proud you continued, or will you wish you had tried harder? Look, the choice isn't being made tomorrow or next week. It's being made right now. The responsibility for your future is squarely in your hands. So what are you going to choose? Thanks so much for joining me on The Explainer today. Keep going, and I'll catch you next time.